Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com, and we're back with the FZ1000. We've had this for about 4 weeks now, so we're doing a 4-week shooting review, 4 weeks of shooting with it. So far, I love the FZ1000, and in fact, I think it would make a great complement to my LX100. Just to recap for you some of the great things or some of the main features about the FZ1000 are the 20 megapixel 1-inch MOS type sensor in here. So you've got a larger sensor as far as compact power zooms go, in the sense that a lot of them would have been like 1 1/8 sensors or smaller, whereas this is a 1-inch sensor, and it shows in image quality. It's very good. Next up, 25 to 400 zoom. That's this big puppy on here. We'll turn it on for you. That's it, extended, ready to go. Actually, the other thing is, as you noticed, check that out again. Look how fast. We're looking at like a 1 second turn on time. So as far as a power zoom goes, this camera powers up really quick and is ready to roll very quickly, which is a really nice feature. You're not waiting for it. At 400, that's how much it extends, which is really not bad as far as size-wise for 400 millimeter. Bear in mind too, this is an f2.8 to 4, so 2.8 at the 25 millimeter end, and when you're out towards 400 millimeters, you're up to 4. You've still got a constant f4 aperture you could use. If you wanted to use this as a constant f4 lens, you can. So you think about this as an f4 constant aperture lens. That's not bad. I mean, it is faster than that at the wide end, but I always tend to consider my lenses that have some variable aperture on them as how I would use them if they were constant at their slowest end, so f4. So an f4 400 millimeter, not bad. The FZ1000 also has the power OIS, optical image stabilization. It's 5-axis, and in my use, it's been really, really good. I've got as pretty low hand holdability at 400 millimeters. Like I've shot even like I think a tenth of a second, or even maybe lower. Now you're gonna have to watch your technique there. I'm not saying that's something you want to do all the time, and more with a stationary subject, obviously. But very nice optical stabilization on here. Very nice system on the FZ1000. It's got a great viewfinder. It's a 2.36 million dot, I believe. It's XGA. Let me see, I think I have it here. OLED electronic viewfinder. And yeah, it's 2.36 million dots. Nice viewfinder. I had no complaints with it there. It's crisp, detailed, decent viewfinder. Panasonic's really good in this area. It's not falling down on that area either. I really like the movable LCD. I think all cameras should have this, as you've probably noticed from some of my previous reviews. But really nice LCD. That is, what do they call it? 3-inch fully articulated LCD with 920K dots. So, not your leading resolution, but right up there. I mean, everything's usually 920 to about 1.2 or something million dots these days. So, and no problems with it. It's a nice size, nicely detailed, and certainly works very well in use. Now, one of the big features on the FZ1000, which I've really enjoyed, is the 4K video. The FZ1000 shoots 4K video at 30p, 100 megabytes per second MP4s, very rich, very detailed, exactly what you'd be hoping from a 4K file. And what I use them for is I actually don't usually use the 4K file. I shoot in 4K, almost like shooting in RAW for stills, and then I process it down to a 1080 HD, which is what, if you had a raw still, you take all that information. When you're done processing it, you could process it down to your JPEG, that what you're going to use for your prints or whatever. And that's kind of how I deal with the 4K, and the 4K in this is very, very nice. The lens that we were talking about earlier, I should point out, is very sharp, very detailed, especially at the 400 millimeter end. It seems to even perform well, better at the 400 millimeter end than at the wide end, but it does perform well all over the place. It just seems to almost be a little bit sharper, longer than wider, which, you know, any lens that covers this type of zoom range is gonna have its strengths and weaknesses. I don't think I've ever seen a lens that's just as strong at one end as it is to the other. But in any case, bringing that up because it makes for a very nice sharp video to go with the 4K. Not only that, but it's a very nice lens with the stills too. The speed of the lens is very helpful in both video and in stills. One of the other nice features of the FZ1000 for video is it's got the clean HDMI output here. It's got a port on the other side for a mic input. A lot of cameras, like my LX100, doesn't have a mic input, and I wish it did. So you can go mic your audio straight into the FZ1000, which is definitely a welcome feature there for video. So two really nice points again for the FZ1000 for video that I've enjoyed while using it for video. Another nice feature on the FZ1000 is the built-in Wi-Fi, and I really like that because you can use a tablet to control the camera, especially in video. It's great for photos too because you can set it up on a tripod, walk around, and use your tablet as your remote with the screen there. You can see what's going on. You can tap and shoot, tap and focus. And I mean, that's what I'm doing right now, filming this video with my LX100. I've got the Panasonic Image app up on my tablet right here, and I can see what's going on. I can even adjust things if I want to. I just usually do that before we start shooting. But that is really nice to have that built into the FZ1000. And the NFC communication, near field communication, that's really nice too. You can get a really quick connection just by scanning the QR code that comes up on the back of the camera with your tablet or your smartphone, whatever you're going to use to control it. So that's really nice too, and it's well implemented with the Panasonic Image app. It's a really pleasant app to work with, gives you pretty much full control over the camera. You can change, you know, white balance, ISO, shutter speeds. You can do start and stop for recording. You can tap and shoot for stills. It just does so much. You can adjust your focal length of your zoom lens. It's a really sweet application, and it's really nice once you try using it. What you can do with it, and becomes, you know, addictive in the sense that you don't really want to have a camera that doesn't do that. It's one of the things I really like about the Panasonic cameras is how nice the Image app works with, in this case, the FZ1000, or in the camera I'm filming this with right now, the LX100. What else do we have to say about the FZ1000? Battery life is really good. I think they claim about 360 shots per charge or something like that, and I would say that's about right. I don't know that I've done that many shots in a single shoot when I've been using the FZ1000, but it seemed to be a strong battery and held up well, especially when I was shooting movies. So when I'm doing video, it's not giving out on me there. I did one or two videos anyways on the LX100 with the FZ1000. I shot those LX100 videos with the FZ1000 so I could get the 4K video. It's been nice having two 4K cameras here at Art of the Image while this has been here. I will put the links below to which videos those were. You could check them out, and those again are ones that I shot in 4K rendered down to 1080, but it just makes for a really nice 1080 file when you're viewing. I want to come back to the lens again for a minute. I can't say enough about how nice this lens is. You know, a competitor like the Sony, I think it's the RX10, not as long a reach of the lens, maybe a little faster throughout, but 25 to 400 gives you such a nice range. And with this well-performing 1-inch sensor, as far as high ISO and things like that, and detail, I should say as well, the 400 millimeters on here is really nice, really welcome, and as I mentioned, it's very sharp at 400 millimeters. So this is a great 400 millimeter f4 option for you, and you can get an all-rounder or ultra zoom like this that allows you to have that nice 400 millimeter f4. You know, you got there's some playing around you'd have to do to get to 400 millimeters, and not any really cheaper options for good image quality and a 400 millimeter f4. Even if you'd probably have to go to beat that, you'd have to pair up an APS-C camera, for instance, you know, a D5300 from Nikon, a Canon T6i or T5i, and then you'd have to find something like a super zoom, say a 18 to 300, or you could go with something like a 75 to 300. You're probably getting, especially if you're at a 75 to 300 or 70 to 300, like Nikon's is really nice there, and I think Canon's is too. You're probably getting maybe a little better image quality because of the larger sensor and perhaps a better lens. I don't know. This lens is really good. But this is a great option because it gives you that 25 to 400 all in one with all the other features it has. As I mentioned earlier, the FZ1000 turns on very quickly in like a second or so, really quick, but not just the turn-on speed, it is super fast on acquisition for autofocus. It benefits from the depth from defocus technology that the GH4 has from Panasonic, and I think that's part of the reason that the FZ1000 focuses so fast and is such a great camera in that regard, in the sense that it locks on quickly, blazingly fast for an ultra zoom. Really, like, it's almost comparable up there with DSLRs. In a lot of cases it is, and I've been very impressed with how fast the FZ1000 focuses, how fast it acquires a lock, and how accurate it is. It's almost always, I don't think I had a situation where I wasn't hitting a solid focus on it and the subject wasn't in focus. It's always been excellent on acquiring a good autofocus lock quickly. Some other neat little features: the FZ1000 will shoot up to 50 frames per second. Now it drops down to 5 megapixel image at that rate, but still 50 frames per second. There's not too many cameras on the market that will do that. Kind of a neat option if you're looking to do, you want some high speed shooting. Kind of hard to beat 50 frames per second. I think you're going to get your shot at 50 frames per second despite the speed of your target or of your subject. Image quality on the FZ1000 is excellent, thanks largely in part to the 1-inch sensor, obviously combined with the really nice lens too. The two of them pair really nice together. Stills are very nice. The quality is excellent. I wouldn't hesitate to shoot this up to 800 for super clean images. 16 and 3200 definitely usable on the ISO scale, but I shoot everything in RAW for the most part on here. Sometimes I'll shoot in RAW plus JPEG, because if you're shooting in RAW, you can get a fair bit cleaner file than you can out of the JPEGs. The JPEGs are decent, but on, like most cameras, you're getting a better file out of here in RAW than you are in JPEG. Similarly, 4K video on here is fantastic. Image quality from the video, I love it. The 100 Mbps MP4 files on here are rich, detailed, excellent video files, and if you want to do it like what I do, where you render them down to a 1080, it's kind of like taking that raw still image, rendering it down to JPEG, so you've got all that information to work on, and then you process it to your final file, which in the video case would be me going from 4K down to the 1080. Just a fantastic image quality, both video quality and stills, for what this camera has to offer and in comparison to its competition. In conclusion, as an overall conclusion, the FZ1000 is a great option for a ultra zoom, for an all-in-one. It is bulkier than, it's not a pocket camera, so bear in mind it's a fairly big camera for an all-in-one, approaching the size of a small DSLR with a zoom on it, if in fact not about that size depending on the DSLR. However, we've got a 25 to 400 lens on here. We've got 4K video. We've got the 1-inch sensor, which is giving us excellent video and stills, and just a lot of nice things all together in one nice complete package. I really like the FZ1000. I highly recommend it if you're in the market for an ultra zoom or an all-in-one camera. This would make a great travel camera. This would make a great all-rounder backpacker camera, whatever you want to use it for in those regards. Head out to your store, check it out if you're in this market, get hands-on, see what you think, because I really like this camera, and I think you will too. I give Panasonic pretty much full marks. The only real nitpicky thing I wish that this had, and it's the same with my LX100, is I wish that it had a touchscreen. Now, the FZ1000 does have the fully articulated screen, which my LX100 doesn't have, so kudos there, but it would be nice if it had a touchscreen. Other than that, I love just about everything about the FZ1000, and it's a strong competitor, if not the best in its class, certainly at the very top. So check it out. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We will have some more videos looking specifically at some of the images I've shot with the FZ1000, showing you the various ISO ranges right from the bottom, say 125, all the way up to 32, 64, and higher, just to give you an idea where the FZ1000 excels at, and where the images you can see for yourself where you would start to not use which ISO setting because it falls out of your comfort level. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more videos, more articles. Keep up to date with what's going on in the world of photography, videography, and technology right here at artoftheimage.com. Thanks a lot, folks.